It's so big.
What are you doing?
Oh, I was just looking at the world map and thinking about how big Greenland is.
Yeah, Greenland is pretty big. But let me see the world map that you're looking at.
Sure.
Just as I thought.
What do you mean?
This is a Mercator projection.
Yeah? So?
The area on a Mercator projection is not accurate.
But Greenland is big, right?
True that it is the largest island in the world, but it's not as big as it looks.
Wait, Greenland is an island? It looks bigger than the Australian continent.
The actual size looks like this. I mean, if you think about it, the definition of a continent is that it's bigger than Greenland, so it's smaller than Australia.
I didn't expect it to be this different.
Yep.
Then this map is wrong.
Maps can't be perfectly accurate on everything, so all world maps are wrong.
Well, I guess you're right.
But then what is accurate on a Mercator projection? So today I will explain about all the misunderstandings regarding the Mercator projection.
Yes, please.
Okay then, lay back and enjoy this video. So what is accurate on a Mercator projection map? The accuracy of a map depends on how precise the four elements of areas, distances, angles, and directions are. Let me get straight to the point. The only correct element in a Mercator projection is the angle.
I'm confused. Distance and area I get, but do you mean north, south, east, west by direction? What do you mean the angle is only correct?
It's easier if you peel the surface of the Earth and look at the thinking process of how it was made. First, let's expand the Earth from its sphere shape. Since a map is forcibly expanding a sphere into a plane surface, any map that exists will always have something wrong.
Yeah, I can kinda understand that. For example, no matter how hard you try to peel an orange perfectly, the orange peel will always have a bump. On the other hand, you can't perfectly wrap up a sphere with paper without any wrinkles.
It has been proven mathematically that it is impossible.
I see.
So why don't we try to ignore the small mistakes and peel the surface of the Earth carefully like this? Don't you think we will be able to turn it back into a sphere?
You're right. It looks like we can turn it back into a sphere.
By the way, what we did now is just peel the surface of the Earth off and lined it up. So the area is accurate at this point.
Yeah, but the area might be accurate, but the land and sea are shredded into pieces.
Surely, if you draw a line like this, it will be crossing a mysterious blank space, so it will be useless as a map. Another problem is that the further you go to the edge, the directions of north and south are distorted.
Right.
Therefore, we're going to carry out a big operation and stretch out the map to the side and fill in the blank spaces.
That's a bold move. Wow! Now that's what a map looks like.
By stretching out the map, land and sea aren't shredded into pieces anymore, and we are able to look at the countries joined together. Furthermore, since these upper and bottom ends were originally the North Pole and South Pole, by stretching it out to the side, all the upper ends become the North Pole and all the bottom ends become the South Pole.
In other words, no matter which point you're at, the top half is north and the bottom half is south.
Exactly. Next, based on this stretched out map, let's try to go from point A to point B, which is recessed. It seems like you can reach point B from point A if you move along this angle.
Yeah?
However, you can't.
What the heck?
Remember the last big operation? The further you go to the top, the map is stretched out to the side, which means that England is this much distorted.
It is way distorted than I thought it would be.
Yep, as a result, you can't reach the destination even if you move along the angle measured on the stretched out map.
Right.
When you overlap the original map before the operation, it's clear that you can't reach point B.
I get it. If you want to reach point B, you have to move more towards the north.
Exactly. To begin with, when you stretch out a figure, the angle gets distorted like this, right?
Yeah.
So I drew a line to measure the angle for explanation, but in reality, you can't measure angles on this map.
Oh, I have an idea. Since we stretched out the map to this side, why don't we stretch it out vertically to the same amount?
Ah, you're very perspective. Just like you said, if we do that, the figure doesn't get distorted and the angles will stay correct. And so the exact process you mentioned just now, which is stretch out the map vertically as much as it's stretched out to the side, is the Mercator projection.
Aha!
So now, let's look at which angle we have to move along on a Mercator projection.
Alrighty.
Based on a Mercator projection, we should be able to move along point A to point B at around this angle. Next, let's make sure that we can reach the destination by verifying on the original map before the operation.
Awesome! It seems like we will surely be able to reach point B.
By finely adjusting the angle so it doesn't get distorted, you can reach the destination by moving at a constant angle. That is the Mercator projection.
Pretty neat.
You can say it was an innovation.
What do you mean?
The Mercator projection was presented by a geographer named Gerarudus Mercator during the Age of Discovery. Sea voyages during those days were super dangerous, so it was quite common where crew members escaped even if their crew was sponsored by the royal king. Ferdinand Magellan's crew was the first ever to circumnavigate the world, but the crew deserted with the whole ship.
A whole ship? That's absurd.
Well, it is said that the reason was not just because it was dangerous, but that Magellan had a terrible personality and everyone hated him.
What did he do?
Anyways, when heading to a dangerous voyage, as long as you have a compass and you can measure the correct angle, it can ensure the accuracy of the route to your destination. The projection was a perfect answer to the demands of that time. That is the Mercator projection.
That's what you call innovation. I have a question. Is everything besides the angle wrong on the Mercator projection?
Yes.
For future reference, can you explain to me what is wrong?
Of course. Let's move on. As I explained before, the Mercator projection is stretched out sideways and vertically, so the area is inaccurate. For example, these circles show the amount of area that was expanded.
Wait, you mean that all these circles are supposed to be the same size?
Yup. The numbers show that the circles closest to the equator are 1, and the furthest ones are expanded by 33.8 times. So if you correct the area to the actual size, the roll becomes this much smaller.
Russia looks so much smaller. It's a little disappointing when it's scaled down to this much.
Dead right. By the way, there's a surface where you can see how much the area changes according to latitude. By using this, you can understand the actual size to some degree.
That sounds interesting.
If you really want to compare the area on a Mercator projection, be sure to look closer at the equator where there is less distortion.
The higher the latitude, the more the area gets stretched out.
If you want to compare the area more accurately, there's a service where you can confirm the actual size on a sphere, so check it out. Again, since the Mercator projection is stretched out sideways and vertically, the distance is obviously messed up as well.
I was kind of aware of that.
For example, if I connect Tokyo and Washington DC with a straight line, this route will definitely not be the shortest distance.
Then which route is the shortest distance?
This is.
That's weird.
If I draw the shortest route from Tokyo to Rio de Janeiro on the Mercator projection, it looks even more weird.
It almost looks like an optical illusion.
Therefore, take note that a straight line isn't the shortest distance on a Mercator projection.
By the way, you mentioned before that the north and south directions are correct, so the direction should be correct.
I'm sorry to say that the directions are baloney as well.
What?
Based on my explanation, north and south directions are correct on a Mercator projection. However, east and west directions are completely wrong.
Wait! If north and south are correct, east and west directions should automatically be correct as well.
Why is it that only east and west are wrong? Okay, here's a quiz for you. Bring it on. Question: which country exists on the east side of Japan? Choose from the following options. 1. The United States of America. 2. Chile.
That's super easy.
Okay, so what is your answer?
1. The United States of America.
Wrong.
No way.
It's easier to understand if you think on a sphere. From the red dot's point of view, which way is north and south?
The way towards the North Pole and South Pole, of course.
Right, so the directions of north and south should look like this.
Yup.
And if you use a compass, east and west should look like this.
Wait, you're right. If you look towards the east from Tokyo, there's Chile. It's not America.
Exactly. Well, if you look at the Earth from directly above Tokyo, it will be even more easier to see the directions of north, south, east, and west.
Chile is at the east of Tokyo if you look at it this way as well.
However, if you look towards the east on a Mercator projection, America is there. That's why the directions on a Mercator projection are wrong.
No kidding.
By the way, if you draw the correct directions forcibly on the Mercator projection, it looks like this.
Oh my god, north is directly above and south is directly below, but east and west look very slanted.
I know, right? To wrap it up, by trading off the accuracy of area, distance, and direction, a map that has just one accuracy of angle is the Mercator map.
I feel like there is way too much trade-offs.
We're not over yet.
What?
Inside the Mercator projection, there is an ultimate point that fulfills all geographers' ambitions, where area, distance, direction, and angles are closest to perfect.
What the heck are you saying?
Let me introduce the greatest way of using the Mercator projection. Let's move on.
You told me that it is mathematically proven that all elements can't be accurate.
Certainly, we can't show the entire Earth to be accurate, but if you look at a narrow scope, everything becomes reasonably accurate.
Narrow scope?
Yup, we peel the surface off of the Earth and stretch it out sideways and vertically, but isn't there a place where it's barely stretched out?
Oh, you mean around the equator?
Bingo! The equator is the dream spot where everything is accurate.
Do you really mean everything?
First, the reason things got messy was because we stretched out the map.
Yes.
So the place where it's not stretched out should be reasonably accurate like the areas and distances.
Yeah, it seems like the areas are reasonably accurate around the equator.
Plus, around the equator, the above is north, bottom is south, left is west, right is east.
And since it's a Mercator projection, the angles are obviously correct.
Exactly.
I understand that areas, distances, angles, and directions are correct around the equator, but why does that matter to us?
I thought you would say that.
Huh?
On a Mercator projection, the Earth's surface is peeled off from the North Pole to the South Pole, but we should be able to peel it off from anywhere. For example, like this.
Oh my god!
And then you stretch it out sideways and vertically. By doing this, even if it's not around the equator, this scope's areas, distances, angles, and directions are all accurate.
That's genius!
And now you can show England, New Zealand, and even Japan accurately on a map.
Mercator projection is brilliant!
This is the final form of the Mercator projection. Transverse Mercator projection.
Wow, I didn't know you can utilize it like this.
Amazing, don't you think? You can see that although the Mercator projection is said to be too inaccurate, it has made a significant contribution from the age of discovery until now.
Sorry that I said it's wrong, Imdal.
Remember this, the superstar of map projection. Mercator projection. So what did you think?
Well, I realized that this map was originally made for voyage and pointing out mistakes like the area was totally wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, misunderstanding on a map is kinda unavoidable.
Really?
Because maps have a mysterious power that makes you think that the truth is written on it.
What do you mean?
Think about it, like in comic books and movies. Going out on an adventure, believing a picked-up treasure map. If you use common sense, that's absurd, right? You don't know who made the map and for what reason.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
So maps have a mysterious power to make you think it's correct.
Now that you mention it, most people know that the Earth is a sphere, but we believed everything on a Mercator projection and have many misunderstandings.
Right. The map has beautiful features. It's dressed up because everyone looks at it. So when looking at a map, you have to keep in mind, don't judge a book by its cover. If you're going to be fooled, you should be aware that you're being fooled, because that's one way of pleasure.